Although the U.S. spends more on healthcare than any other country and has the highest proportion of specialized physicians, survey findings indicate that from the patient's perspective and based on outcome indicators, the performance of healthcare is severely lacking. This is a quote by the Commonwealth Fund, which is a foundation in New York concerned with making our healthcare system better. As a country, we deserve way better healthcare than we are currently getting. Every day, there are millions of people that suffer from our flawed healthcare system. Everyone has to use healthcare at some point in their life. Whether it was when you were younger, sometime recent, or in the future, you will be forced into paying ridiculously high medical bills and/or not receive proper treatment. I hope to educate everyone on what is wrong with our system so they can see the big picture and what is really going on behind the scenes. I have recently started reading into how our healthcare system compares with that of other countries. It is overwhelming how much more efficient countries like Switzerland, UK, and Taiwan are at running their systems. There are three main points I am here to persuade you all on how the U.S. healthcare system is heavily flawed and needs change. First, we as consumers pay way too much for medical bills and/or the cost of care. Second, a solution to how we can get the quality of care for what we pay. And third, the potential benefits of basing our systems off our flaws and how other countries run their system. Now that you all know the purpose of my speech, let me explain my first main point and the problem with our system. We as consumers pay way too much on medical bills and/or the cost of care. It should come as no surprise that we spend the most out of any country. The U.S. has a system that does have a poor cost-benefit ratio. I mean, 40 million people lack insurance, and another 30 million or so are underinsured. The people who are insured do have to worry about whether they are able to pay the bills, and people become bankrupt because they cannot pay these medical bills. There are vast differences in the quality of care depending on how much you are prepared and able to pay. I think the system is not working well. This is a quote by Professor Karl Lauterbach, who is a health economist and member of the German Parliament on Frontline's Sick Around the World program. In the past year, the Washington Post points out that on average, our per capita rate is about $8,500. This means that the amount we spend as a country on healthcare divided by our population per year. Next highest is Norway with $5,669, and sitting in first place is the UK, who spends $3,405. Drug companies are responsible for most of this. Select USA, an advocacy group that promotes U.S. as an ideal location for business and investment purposes, suggests that the U.S. is a worldwide leader in healthcare services and an innovator in cutting-edge diagnostics and treatment. This pretty much says that we have the technology and knowledge to do whatever we want, but we choose not to do so. We are reactive instead of proactive and should worry about fixing the problem before it occurs, rather than wait for it to occur, then do something about it. These drug companies want people to stay ill because that's how they make their profit. Now that you all know my first reason why our healthcare system is flawed, I will now move on to the second point, which is what should happen and a potential solution for this problem. We deserve the quality for what we pay. There shouldn't be loopholes in our system. People shouldn't get turned down by insurance companies and not choose to cover the individual at all depending on how sick that person is. Or they can deny claims that they cover particular components of an illness. This is not ethical, and most people can't do anything about it. President and lead author Karen Davis from the Commonwealth Fund says, "It is disappointing but not surprising that, despite our significant investment in healthcare, the U.S. continues to lag behind other countries. Our healthcare needs to be more efficient and convenient. Although we have lower wait times to see a particular doctor or physician, it is usually a result of us not getting the actual care we need. Someone can get surgery as soon as they want in the U.S., but that doesn't necessarily mean one can afford it and go through with the procedure. People don't visit the doctor as much over here because they usually charge you for checkups. In the UK, Japan, and other countries, people can go see their doctors multiple times a week and don't have to worry about paying some outrageous checkup fee. Our coverage should cover simple things like this, and we should also work on providing safe and coordinated care, not being prescribed the wrong medication, and not go to an emergency room for a condition that could be treated by a regular doctor or physician." This wraps up my second point, and I will now move on to my third and final point on potential benefits if we took notes from other countries' health system and learned off our flaws. First, everyone should be required to have the same coverage. Instead of worrying about competition with increasing profit, such as insurance companies, the U.S. should be worried about maximizing the competition between hospitals and doctors for patients. In other countries, insurance companies aren't allowed to make profit Instead, the insurance takes care of the bills, and if it doesn't cover all of it, the rest is very affordable. The U.S. thinks this is too socialist when it's really not. Doctors should compete for keeping patients healthy, resulting in a pay raise. Taxes also should be increased to keep the cost of healthcare down. All this money we could be saving by cutting down on administrative costs, hospitalizations, procedures, tests, and doctor visits would save people from going bankrupt and in debt. In Taiwan, each person has an electronic card that they slide when they go to the doctor, and it pulls up their medical records. That way, the doctors know what medicines to prescribe and not to prescribe. These are just a few of the potential benefits to where we could funnel the money elsewhere instead of these people's pockets. This concludes my 3 main points. To recap things, our healthcare system is flawed and needs to be changed in 3 ways. First, we pay too much money as consumers. Second, we need a solution to get the quality care that we deserve. And third, the benefits if we were to funnel this money elsewhere. I hope everyone thoroughly understood these 3 points because healthcare is so overpriced and we deserve more bang for our buck, and we're content with letting other people pretty much steal our money. I'd like to end with a quote by Dr. Steffi Woolhandler, who told this to CNN. It says, "Unless you're Warren Buffett or Bill Gates, you're one financial illness away from financial ruin in this country." Thank you.